Okay. Um, yeah, that that did not look very good. Okay, we are live. You're just going to have to um, deal with the horrible light. I'm trying a new setup here. Um, that's just how it is. Okay, I'll just give it a few seconds while people are joining this live stream. Um, and for those of you who are new to this channel, if you're watching this on replay, this is predominantly my live streaming channel. I do mostly live streams here. And if you come here from my main channel and you want to see live streams, you should subscribe to this channel. And I try to do live streams as often as I can. And yeah, so if you like that, if you would like more of that, then you should subscribe and choose all notifications. So, maybe YouTube will then send out notifications when I do live streams. But this is YouTube, and you know how it goes. So, okay. I have talked about the situation in Israel and the surrounding areas before. And I know that, as before, I'm going to get a lot of hate, a lot of disrespectful comments, and all that. But this is more important than, this. We need to keep a conversation going about this topic. And I will also say that I am quite uneducated. I said uneducated concerning the situation in the Middle East. I have, up through the years, tried to educate myself on the situation, but you really need to read quite a few books and, to even to just get a grasp of the, the outline of the situation. It's very complex, and I wish that people could be a little bit more humble, because I always say that you should educate yourself first and then form an opinion. So we will be talking about this, and I will be talking about this as an uneducated person. And we will try to be mutually respectful here. So, okay. There are two issues that we're going to talk about in this live stream. One is how civil unrest might spread and become a serious problem in areas outside of the Middle East. And we will talk about how the situation in the Middle East now could spark World War III. I'm not saying that is going to happen, but we're going to look into it a little bit. So let's do that first. I'll just say hello to the good people here in the chat. And Johnny Best says you must smile more instead of diving into crazy conspiracy theories. Well, that's the kind of disrespectful comments that I'm talking about here. And I really wish that people could try to be a little bit more humble, try to educate themselves a little bit more. So do better than that, Johnny Best. So, okay. Now, I will say this. There are similarities between what's going on in Ukraine, actually, here. But we'll get into that as well. But my statement here is that if no other nation had given money and weapons to Israel and the surrounding fractions or groups like Hamas, this would not have been such a big conflict. It can only keep going as a full-on, full-scale war because these are given weapons and resources from outside nations. This is not a conspiracy theory, by the way. So basically, you have the USA and NATO and Norway giving money, lots of money, to Israel, giving weapons, I believe, also to Israel. And our state leaders, our political leaders are saying that Israel has the right to defend themselves. That's the statement. I'm sure you've seen it, you've heard it. And so they give a lot of weapons to Israel, and they have done so for many, many years. Weapons and resources. On the other side, you have at least one, well, can we call them a superpower? Maybe not, but at least they do have vast resources. Iran. Iran is financing Hezbollah in the north of Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Now, Iran is quite, I believe, open about their support to Hezbollah, but they have not admitted being part of the horrible, evil terrorist attack that Hamas did, which sparked, I guess, well, several terrorist attacks. But I'm talking about the music festival where they just slaughtered all those innocent people there. And I made a live stream about that, and I said I call them devils because people who do that, they just deserve to die. And Rob, I know about. Yes, it's in the. I mean, there is no secret about those weapons. I mean, yeah. That's. Norway is very open about sending weapons to Israel, and Iran. Well, okay. Let's. We can't really go down to that level. Okay, so let's. Oh, we have the conspiracy theorists here. Nobody died at the music festival. Really? That would have been great. Yeah. It's all for the camera. It's all fake. They were all actors, right? Is that the theory now? It didn't take long, did it? Okay, so I'll keep going here. So Iran is financing Hezbollah and Hamas. They are waging war at each other through an area, which is quite a small area. And there is nothing new about this. It's quite a common way to wage war and to flex your political muscles, so to speak. Now, in the USA, I mean, I will say this, you have a government there now which is very corrupt. You have that senile old criminal Biden, who very quickly said what he was supposed to say, I guess, which you say, which you say has always said, that they support Israel. Period. That's it. And there are hostages, American hostages now, being we don't know what's happening to them. I think Hamas is a terrorist organization which is one of the worst, one of the most evil, and there are people out there now who refuses to compare them to ISIS. I think that's silly, because they should be compared to any Islamist terrorist organization, because that's what they are. And I mean, this. Okay, so how could this start or spark World War III? Well, the theory is that it starts with, well, it goes way back, right? But that the theory that I've read about now lately is that the political analysts are saying that Iran will respond by firing rockets at Israel if Israel occupies Gaza. I don't know if that's going to happen. I hope not. But let's say that happens. So Israel, they will just take Gaza, which I think they should have done, actually. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying it's in their right, but I'm saying that to end the violence, that's probably what they should have done a long time ago. If they can't solve this through communication, cooperation, if they need to do this violently, then do it quickly, at least, But it's not that simple, because Iran is then, well, I don't know if they've said it, but political analysts are saying that there's quite a high probability that Iran will then respond by firing rockets at Israel, and Israel will respond by firing rockets at Iran, and then we have it going. And this is an area which is very tense. The balance is very fragile, and you have coalitions, many coalitions. And when you do one thing there, there are like ripples in the water, right? So it will affect the surrounding areas in a violent way. And I encourage everyone to look more into this, look more into the history, because this goes way back. And I think that you're only going to make yourself look like a fool if you jump onto the quickest and easiest conspiracy theory out there. This takes a bit of intellect. It takes a bit of courage. It takes a bit of patience. And please remember that also, I'm seeing now in the chat, we have all sorts of idiots here. I'm sorry, but most of you guys are great. Most of you guys are great. But as I said here, we need to be humble about this. We need to educate ourselves. It's an ongoing process, right? Don't be so opinionated here. Don't be so opinionated. Try to educate yourself. So, as per today, this is where as far as I've gotten, looking into the situation in the Middle East. And you'll have to forgive me, because this is not my level of expertise is not that great concerning the new history of Europe or even the Middle East. I'm a historical novelist, and I am. You might know this, so I'm Viking Age. That's more my thing. But this is something that, I mean, read up on this. Books, get books, read up on this. And any to the moderators here, any just get rid of the racists here, okay? And it's like just get rid of them, because it's just not. Sometimes I'm trying to keep an eye here on the live stream, on the chat, and sometimes I don't know if you're responding to other people or not. But like Sock there, I mean, nobody here is a train wreck, and if you're talking about me, just go away, because you're making yourself look like an idiot, right? Okay, so now let's move on to something that I know a lot more about, which is how this could spread and spark civil unrest, large scale civil unrest in other parts of the world. So I'm Norwegian, and we don't have a large Muslim minority here, because, and this comes as a surprise to many people, because you get your news through, CNN, Fox, and so on in the USA and North America, and it's almost always fake news when it's about Norway. It was this funny thing where Norwegian government has decided that there will be no more fossil fuel cars after 2024, 2025. That was a funny one. It's just an example of fake news. So even though we don't have a large Muslim population in Norway, we can look to Sweden, right? I live very close to the border, and the situation there is very different. And Sweden, and I made a live stream about this, Sweden is experiencing, they're calling it a wave of violence, but it really is not a wave, it's just a development that has been warned about, that they refused to talk about because it was quote unquote racist. And it's the people with second and third generation and so on, from with their parents and grandparents from the Middle East, Afghanistan, North Africa. Those people, not all of those people, not all of those people, but some of those people are recruited from the suburbs into these gangs, and they are massively racist towards anyone else, and it's a horrible thing that's going on there. In such an environment, it's very easy to see that civil unrest could be sparked by a conflict like we're seeing in the Middle East now. Israel is going, as we speak, into or has they? Well, I don't know for sure if they've gone into Gaza yet, or if they're just preparing the ground and bombing the people there, civilians, innocent people. I don't know, but it's going to happen if they haven't started already, and it is something that you need to be quite nationalist on the side of Israel to defend such a thing, and I've said that they should just take Gaza, and that's what they're doing. But what I did not realize when I said that is that the level of hate and pure racism among the Israeli military officers is much greater than I thought. I've seen quotes now comparing Palestinians to animals and so on. And I fear that they are going in there with the aim to kill and get rid of Palestinian people. So, but civil unrest is spreading, and we're seeing it already. Vast protests, and I think in London now they are arresting anyone expressing out in the street, being out in the street, expressing support for Hamas, which is yes, I know they've been doing this for many years, Miles, but this is we're looking at the situation now, okay? That's quite the difference there. So, do I think it's okay to support Hamas? No, because you're supporting a terrorist group, evil people. Evil people. Do I think it should be legal to support Hamas? Yes, because of freedom of speech. I don't like it when people support evil things like that, but it should be their right. And I know why they're doing this, why they are arresting those people. They're trying to avoid civil unrest. I don't think it will help. It will just make it worse. That's what I think. So there is something about a group of angry Muslim young men that seems to breed violence. Okay. It's like, I'll just say this. And I've seen this because I have challenged people like that. I've called them out, um, maybe because I'm just plain stupid or I don't know my own. I can't stand people like that, and I have no fear when it comes to. I get so provoked by people like that, so I have called them out. And I've said before that a group like that, they are like dogs. And if you come across as a bigger dog than their biggest dog, then they will not dare to do anything. I'm not suggesting you use that method at all. Maybe you shouldn't. But I've seen the dynamic in groups like that. And they go into a frenzy very easily, very quickly. And I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see them attacking people just because they want to use violence, just because they want to express their anger, and just because they feel that it's in their right and that the world is against them just because they're Muslims and that everyone is racist. So, yeah, dehumanizing rhetoric is dangerous soil play, and that's what they're doing. That's what I know that you might be talking about my words here, but I'll say it again. They're like dogs when they're in a group like that. Not saying that they are dogs, I'm just saying that that's the group dynamic that we are witnessing. Now, that's beside the point, it really is, because this is going to happen and it's going to be such huge groups hundreds, thousands of people in the streets, angry, violent. And I honestly don't know what can be done about it, except striking down on those so-called protests. I would, if I lived in an urban area now, which I don't, I would be vigilant, and I would avoid places where those groups are gathering. And do I think that there is, when it comes to the civil unrest and the situation in the cities in Europe and I guess some cities in North America as well, do I think that there is anything we can do about it now? As an individual, no. And I've said before that I think the best option you have now is to keep an eye on the situation and get out as soon as you can if it seems to escalate, because when it escalates, it's going to happen very fast. We're not talking days, we're talking hours. A lot of these people have weapons. Even in Norway, you Americans think that there are no guns in Norway. Norway's floating with guns, and they will be out, those guns, in an instant if we get civil unrest here. But I don't think it will be that bad here because of the sheer number that we don't have here. We don't really have that many Muslim immigrants that are supportive of Islamism, if you know what I mean. I know for a fact that, well, in my life experience, and please listen to me now. My life experience here has taught me that most immigrants from Muslim countries, they have a hatred for Islamists. They hate them, and I think they hate them more than other Norwegians do, actually. So, yeah. So people seem to forget that, we have a lot of people that came from Iran. They are not in support of the extremists with the towels on their head down there, So, okay. Just a few words about how this could affect the situation in Ukraine. It's quite simple. It really is quite simple. And I'm not talking about right or wrong here, not getting into that. I'm just saying that Russia has taken or occupied parts of Ukraine, okay? And even though they're trying to tell a different story in mainstream media, that's what Russia has done. They said they would do that, and they did it. If the West, like NATO, and especially the USA, stops sending weapons and money to Ukraine, the war will stop. And some people don't want to hear that. But if the USA's attention shifts and they're now going to supply Israel instead. And especially if you get a Republican president, they will be very, very pro-Israel, but they will probably not send weapons and money to Ukraine. Then the war in the Ukraine will stop. Will Russia then take more of Ukraine? We will see. We will see. But I think it's very naive to think that if you think that Ukraine is going to take back what Russia has taken, no, it's not going to happen. I'm quite certain about that. Not saying right or wrong. 666 likes. Wonderful. Thanks a lot. So yeah, that could be a side effect of this. Jen, are you here? Good to see you as always. So now I will take a look at the chat. I'm a little bit hesitant because people are very opinionated and they have stronger opinions than knowledge, if you know what I mean. Okay. So Joseph says, I don't support any war. Crackshot 322 says Russian offensive is starting. And let's see here, I'll just scroll up a little bit. Stella Darkly says, does anyone think Russia could effectively broker peace in Israel as Putin has offered? I actually think so. I think Turkey and Russia could do that. The world is not necessarily as we perceive it here in the West, you know. So yeah, I think that it would be difficult, but it could be one they could try. JM says Hamas and Palestinians aren't the same. That's correct. The problem is that from what I've read now lately, it seems like a lot of the big wigs, as they call them, in the Israeli army will be treating Palestinians and Hamas just the same. You know, they will just try to get rid of them. So, okay. Yeah, I'll just here's an important one. Where did it go? Yeah, a comment there about that was a title to another video. I maybe it's the self-defense principle concerning Israel. When does it stop being self-defense? So let's say you have a suicide bomber on a bus in Israel, and you find out that he's a suicide bomber. You go in and you put a round piece of metal in his head so that he can't trigger the bomb. Is that self-defense? Yes, clearly it's self-defense. But what if you carpet bomb? That's what I think that's what you call it in English as well. You just drop a lot of bombs on an area in Gaza, hoping to get rid of the Hamas terrorists there. And by doing so, you also kill, let's say, 200 civilians. Is that self-defense? I would say no. And it's not right. Okay. Mr. Pearljack is asking, Bjorn, do you think there is a looming biblical prophecy people want in regards to the current situation in Israel, Iran, Palestine? I'm not so concerned about biblical myths. I think we just need to go back and look at the history and conflicts there. This is human nature, you know. We are apes with long legs, and there is nothing civilized about what Israel is doing now. Nothing civilized about that. It's tribalism. Um, I that's I just try to tell you that self-defense is one thing, and what they're doing now is not self-defense. Yeah, let's move on here. Yeah, biblical myths. The Bible is a collection of myths. And what's that sound? Click, click, click. People unsubscribing. I don't care. So, and the moderators, you can just get rid of the Bible thumpers here. Don't have time for that. So, yeah, we are apes with long legs. Well, our species is an ape, right? And comparing us to other apes, we have long legs. It's not that we have short arms, but we have long legs, actually. It's quite funny. Yeah, we are apes. And Robert says we certainly act like apes. Yeah, big brains. It's looking at evolution. Click, click, click. That's the unsubscribing people again. Looking at evolution, did you know that? Well, at least this is a theory. Our jaw is very weak. We have weak jaws compared to other animals because our skull needed to make room for a bigger brain. So we needed to have a smaller jaw. Yeah, so Soul4R says you should see all the Christians inappropriately pushing their Bible stuff in the live chats about Israel, as though that's the time or place. One thing both groups have in common is hating that. Common is hating that. Well, it's like I don't have patience for that. I don't have time for that. We could discuss the origins of the myths that you will find in the Bible. We could discuss the historical events some of those myths are based upon. But really, it's like I could also present to you other religious texts, other myths that point to the same historical events and that have also prophesied how the world will end and so on. So there is nothing fucking unique about this. Okay, so stop that crap. Okay. And as I've said a million times, you can be a Christian. I respect that. No problem at all. But just don't try to explain this using an old book full of myths. Okay? Don't do that. It's just too stupid. Still, yes, people unsubscribe whenever I say that I'm not a Christian or that the Bible is not a history book. So I don't care. I don't care. There are loads of Christian channels, and YouTube is pushing Christian channels like they're paid for it. Yeah, maybe they are. So let's leave that. And the moderators, you can just get rid of those Bible thumpers. I do not have the patience for that now. It's in every fucking live stream. So, now, if I will have a beer garden party, so not right now. It's cold outside. We're getting into winter. Now, actually, well, I will say one more thing about the Bible thumpers and all that. Um, can you see what's happening? Can you see the dynamic? If you can, then you do understand what's happening in the Middle East. Because the Muslims there feel that they have the truth. The Jews feel that they have the truth, that they own the truth. And as long as they keep thinking that, they will also think that they have the moral right to control and possibly kill the other ones. Can't you see that? Instead of being humble and saying that, you know what, I don't know everything, but I'm interested in learning. I will be reading books about history. I will be reading the Bible. I will be reading the Quran. I will be reading other religious texts. I will educate myself and I will look into all sorts of stuff because I want knowledge. Um, that's what you should do, instead of just being intellectually lazy and hating people. But anyway, Callie Fortune, thanks a lot for. Oh, California? Are you in California? Thanks a lot for the donation. You're saying that the population of Gaza is similar to the population of Germany and Japan in World War II. We didn't hold back. We firebombed and then two nukes on civilians. Now we are friends. It wasn't genocide. I disagree because it clearly was genocide. But thank you for the donation. CH is asking, do you guys think they will annex Gaza and West Bank? I was thinking those areas could be test plots for new orders. Now, if you want my opinion, I think they might annex Gaza, but not the West Bank. And the reason is that Fatah is in control of. If you don't know, okay, I'll talk a little bit about that. But Fatah is in control of the West Bank. Hamas is in control of Gaza. And I hope you have looked at the map, right? There is no physical connection. They are on each their side of Israel, right? Because Israel has expanded and look into that. And as far as I understand, Fatah and Hamas is they are enemies, right? And quite different. They are quite different, and I think Israel is prepared to work with Fatah, but not with Hamas. They shouldn't. They shouldn't talk with Hamas. They shouldn't accept anything from us. They should get rid of Hamas. Absolutely, they have no choice there. That's quite obvious. But for that reason, I think that they could annex Gaza, but not the West Bank. And that's why many political analysts are now saying that this could spark World War III, because if they do annex Gaza, then Iran could respond by saying that it's unlawful, you can't do that, and here's a rocket from Iran landing in Israel, and then it's started, right? Okay. Yeah. Now, on the ground invasion, like they're preparing, or maybe they have started um, in in Gaza. It will be brutal. Is it more brutal or less brutal than just carpet bombing the whole area? I don't know. You would have to ask someone with experience, high level experience from the military, I think. Um, and Miles says Gaza is their home, period. Yeah. And I've said many times that we're not talking about what is fair, what is right. We're talking about what should be done to end the violence as quickly as possible. And I said that they should just take all of Palestine. Maybe I was wrong when I said that a couple of days ago because I did not realize, I did not think about actually the response from Iran. So again, not saying that I know everything, saying that I'm just looking at the situation, trying to educate myself. We should all do that. So yeah, CH is saying I'm not taking sides. I think not taking sides is the only sensible thing to do now. Well, actually, I'm taking sides with the civilians on both sides. That's what I do, and I do not support any killing of innocent people. It should go without saying. Um, and it's like I will say this about the USA. Um, of course, you do have a corrupt government there now. Uh, well, it's not the first time. Um, but their default support of Israel is unwise and dangerous. Um, and you're watching like your old potato there, Biden, talking about morals and what is right, and who is he to talk? That old criminal. Um, well, when it comes to Israel, I don't think it would have been any better under Trump, but who knows? Um, and when they just, I mean, they don't even wait for a few hours to assess the situation. They just go out immediately almost and say, we support Israel. And it's very foolish and dangerous. Now, there was this story about me with names. Sorry, I can't remember all the names, but Hamas went into a settlement or something like that, and they killed everyone. And yes, I do believe that. I don't think they were actors lying there. But there was this story that was spread in social media immediately, so quickly that it was a bit suspicious that Hamas uh, beheaded babies. Now, Hamas, they are devils, okay? So they might have done that. But there is no proof for that. And that story was spread by, and I can't remember his name, but he's like a Jewish nationalist extremist. You can trace it to his statement um, on, I think it was Twitter or X. And it's been debunked. Well, it's been debunked in the way that we don't have proof for that. And I think Biden talked about it. If I'm not mistaken, you can tell me, did he? I think he did. And then you know that they're not, they're not doing their homework. They just, yeah, okay. Not saying that they didn't kill people there. I think they killed everyone. Um, and yeah. So, well, Ben Shapiro, I think, is a fool. By the way, he's very opinionated, and he uses his catchphrase, "I'm a conservative Jew" or something like that, as an argument. That's not an argument, you know. Well, I'm a Norse heathen. That's not an argument. It's a statement, and it doesn't defend any of my statements. Doesn't make me doesn't give me the right to have to anything. Yeah. So did he really? Johnny did this? What's his name again? Shapiro. Did he say that nobody's innocent in Gaza? Did he say that? If so, well, he really is a fool. There are lots of innocent people in Gaza. We have some, not many, but some people, immigrants from Gaza in Norway, actually. Very, well, I'll only know about two of them, but but it's like they've been very civilized and understanding about the situation, and of course there are innocent people in Gaza. Do you think a 5-year-old girl is guilty of what Hamas is doing? You think so? And what about the animals there? I care about the animals too. You know, did they call them human excrement? That's just sad. That little evil man. You know, that's just sad. So I think the only wise thing to do now is not take sides. Well, or take sides with the civilians, the people who want to solve this by communication, talking, trade, because there are people on both sides who want that. And I know that in Gaza, I mean, I saw in Gaza, you can't really, they have no freedom of speech. It's controlled by Hamas, right? So I saw that was on the TV actually a few days ago, a very pro-Palestinian woman. She couldn't even get herself to call Hamas terrorists. But no, it was not her. It was some other guy who said that if there was an election in Gaza now, there hasn't been one after Hamas won the election, by the way. But if there was, then Hamas would win that election. Two things there. Do you think that there would be a fair election in Gaza under Hamas? I don't think so. I think that would be a fake election. And also, if you go around there asking people, do you support Hamas? If you ask a Palestinian in Gaza if they support Hamas, do you think they will say no? I think everyone will say yes, yes, full support, full support. Everything they do is great. Because if you don't, no, but someone will hear that, and that same night you will get a few armed men from Hamas knocking at your door, I guess. So, yeah. Yeah, like North Korea, you know. And the big tragedy for Gaza is that Hamas took control. That's uh, that's the big tragedy there. So yeah, I'll try to keep an eye on the situation, but I'm just one guy and I have limited knowledge about this. So I'll say that, um, let's see here. I will say that keep an eye on the situation. Be skeptical about everything here. Um, Try to find some books. I will try to find. I will buy one book. I will order one book uh, about the background here. Maybe two, but I have, I'm quite busy these days. So, but I want to read about this story from both sides and educate myself. CH is asking, do you have fluid borders? No, we don't. They are closed, basically. Especially now with all the civil unrest and crime in Sweden. Well, actually, I shouldn't say this, but Norway has a very long border going up north, and you could just walk through the forest and become an illegal immigrant. But well, now winter is coming, and I don't think that will be a problem. Yeah, war is wrong. I agree, Ginger. Um, yeah, extra special cases. Norway is very smart not to let in the whole world. Well, if you want to know, the situation in Norway is not what you would expect, because I'll say one thing that some people will not like to hear, but Norway needs immigration because, follow me here, because Norway is not an urban nation. Most people live outside of the cities, if you know what I mean. And in those smaller counties, there are not enough people to fill the positions as caretakers, teachers, nurses, and what have you. So um, it's it's um, it's like when you had all the women, because this corrupt government from a certain country bordering to Russia did not allow men to leave the country. So we had all the women coming here. That was very welcome because Ukrainian women are quite educated, and they they were given a house and so on in the smaller counties around the country. Uh, and of course, the local politicians were hoping that they would stay so that they would have people filling those positions as teachers, caretakers, and so on and so on. And that's why I'm saying that we actually need immigration. We don't need immigration of young, uneducated, aggressive males from certain parts of the world. We do not need, if you know what I mean. And yeah, so yeah, and we should Norwegians should raise Norwegians should have more sex. Yeah, because we need more kids here. So it's the truth, you know, it's the truth. Or, you know, to be a little bit more serious about that matter, we should probably make it financially more desirable to have kids. It's not so bad, but it should be having kids should not come with a financial burden at all. You know, yeah, we need more kids here. Uh, Absolutely, yeah, and because we can't continue, you know, relying on importing people to be caretakers and teachers and so on. So yeah, and I think here's what I think. I think that a large part of the immigrants from or the refugees from from Ukraine will go back, and some of them has started to go back to Ukraine. I don't blame them because that's their home, you know, and everyone knew that they would, I guess. That's why they were given a house, and you know, and it's like in these areas there are empty houses. Okay, it's not so difficult to find them, and also that's why a bit of a track here. um it's like people say that property prices makes it impossible for young people to buy a house. That's not true. It just depends on where you're buying that house, because you could buy a house for cheap in Scandinavia, but it would be outside of the urban areas. um, okay, yeah, we're a bit off topic here. um, so Charlie says, given a house, oops, your taxes paid for it. Well, it's yeah, okay. It's did you not hear me? You know, those houses are empty. Well, at least what I've heard is that the houses are empty, and it's not like they are kicking people out. It's not like they are building a house for these refugees. People moved away from those areas, and that's what I'm trying to explain here. Okay. Um, yeah. The interest rates going through the roof. Well, it's leveled out here in Norway now. Um, so here's how I see it. You know, we don't have high interest rates. We just had a period of very, very extremely low interest rates. Now it's back to normal. Um, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, lots of people. Mackle. A lot of people moved to, no, not a lot of people moved to Norway, but some people moved to Norway. We have a lot of Dutch people here, I think, who come here to get out of the, you know, the densely populated areas in continental Europe and to live more, you know, close to nature and We have lots of Swedish people here. They they are attracted by higher wages most often, or they come here because they marry someone or have a girlfriend, boyfriend across the border, and all that. So, yeah, um, yeah, most Norwegians speak English. How well they speak English is, well, it's depends. It depends, I would say. Is Norway a great place to raise a family? Well, yes, I think it is. Um, Compared to the other countries I've been in, I think my subjective opinion is that um, Norway is the best country to raise a family in. We have, of course, this government, and well, I don't like the government here, and they're doing their best to make us just go along with whatever happens in the EU and all that. I don't like that. Yeah, Denmark is also good, but they don't have the right to roam law, which means that it's not so easy to go hiking and spending the night outdoors in Denmark. I have been to the USA, yes. Yeah, of course it's biased. I am Norwegian, so yeah. Tell your countrymen to stop slacking in the bedroom department. Says Rocky Mountain Bear. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. Dark light, that's a good point. People always cope, complain, and say the real reason why we have a declining birth rate is because it's getting too expensive to have kids. In reality, it's a cultural, social issue. Yeah, I have a different opinion. Well, yes, I agree, and I have a different opinion to most people when it comes to things being expensive. It's about priorities. Well, yes, a lot of things are much too expensive, and they are being made too expensive because we don't have competition. We have what's called financially an oligarchy in the market. And Daniel, would you consider Norway a white country? Well, I know what you mean. Well, we are quite ethnically, we're not very diverse in that department. But where was I? Yeah, people complaining that it's too expensive to have kids and so on. It's about priorities. And I'll say this: people are complaining that food is too expensive, and I agree. I agree that healthy food should be much cheaper. Fish, meat, vegetables should be much cheaper. But if you have the trolley, right, in the supermarket, and you look into that, and if it's filled up with potato chips and chocolate and sodas and ultra processed food and all of those things, then you should not complain that food is too expensive, because you're wasting money on things that you don't need and that you shouldn't eat, shouldn't drink. Now, I drink sodas, I eat chocolate, but it's not, moderation. Okay. Um, and let's say you complain about the cost of living, and then you see an ad on the TV or on your smartphone, big screen TV, flat screen, huge TV, and you really want that TV, and you buy that TV, and it costs you, I don't know how high. TVs are quite expensive. Let's say eight 800 pounds, English pounds or dollars, something like that. Then are you really in a position where you should complain about everything getting more expensive because you just bought a big TV that you didn't need? You know, it's um, it's like, I'm not, you know, of course, if you want that TV, then go and buy it. But then, you made some priorities there. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. And also, it shouldn't be a human right to live in the most desirable area. You know, the housing prices will be high. Maybe you just can't afford to live there. Again, that's yeah, it's not a popular message. I know that. But okay. So I think I will end the live stream. We have been talking for a while. If you're still here, consider subscribing. Um, and I'll be back. Oh, Ryan, that's very kind of you. Yes, people take luxuries for granted. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hmm. Okay. I have to go now, and hope you have a wonderful evening or morning, whatever it is, and we will be talking again soon.